Far away in the grand palace of the alien empire, the king sat upon his black stone throne. Torches burned along the walls, casting long shadows across the chamber. His advisors knelt before him, their voices low and fearful. "My king," one of them whispered, "the reports are true. Your daughter is changing. Her body grows strong. Her eyes shine brighter than before. The humans treat her with honor, and some whisper that she may even carry life." The king's jaw clenched, his eyes glowing with rage. "She was cursed, infertile, unworthy of my bloodline," he growled. "And yet these humans dare to claim her, to awaken her? Do they believe they can give me an heir?" The hall fell silent, every alien present trembling at the fury in his voice. The king slammed his fist against the arm of the throne, the sound echoing like thunder. "She was my shame, and I cast her away to rid myself of weakness. But now they twist her into hope, into power." He rose from the throne, his long cloak dragging across the floor. "Summon the generals, prepare the fleets. If she carries a child, it is mine by blood. No human will keep her from me." Aboard the human ship, the princess sat quietly with Commander Eric. The lights of the stars shone through the window as they spoke in hushed voices. She had begun to smile more in recent days, her pale glow returning. But tonight her smile faded, her heart heavy. "Eric," she whispered, "if my father learns of this, he will not forgive me. He will not forgive you." Eric looked at her steadily, his voice calm but strong. "Let him rage, let him threaten. I will not give you back to a man who discarded you like a broken object." Her eyes widened, her voice trembling. "You would defy a king for me?" Eric nodded without hesitation. "I made a promise the day I took your hand. You are not a gift, you are my wife, and I will protect you no matter the cost." Her chest tightened, her heart pounding in ways she had never felt before. In her people's eyes, love was weakness, but in this human's eyes, love was strength. For the first time, she began to believe that maybe she was not just living, maybe she was meant for something greater. Back in the alien palace, the king's fury grew by the hour. Messengers returned with news that his daughter walked with confidence, that her skin glowed like fire under starlight. One messenger whispered nervously, "The humans honor her, my king. They no longer call her infertile, they call her chosen." The king roared in rage, his voice shaking the hall. "Chosen? By them? Never!" He ordered his war council forward. "If she carries life, if she bears a child, that heir belongs to my throne, not theirs. I will tear her from the humans' arms and crush any who defy me." The generals bowed, their eyes filled with fear, but none dared refuse. They knew the king's pride was wounded deeper than any blade. He had given his daughter away as a shameful gift, and now she returned in whispers as a symbol of hope. And nothing enraged him more. The princess felt the storm brewing in her soul. Even aboard the human ship, she sensed her father's fury. Each night her dreams grew darker, visions of her father's face twisted with anger, his armies marching, his voice calling her back to chains. She awoke with fear, her hands trembling. Eric found her sitting alone in the corridor. He placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice steady. "Do not fear him. His anger only proves he knows he is losing power." She looked at him, her eyes wet with tears. "But what if he comes for me? What if he takes me back?" Eric's eyes hardened, his voice sharp with resolve. "Then he will have to go through me first." His words struck her heart with both fear and hope. No one had ever stood for her. No one had ever claimed her as worth fighting for. But this human, this scarred warrior, was ready to stand against a king. In the palace, the king stood at the balcony overlooking his empire. The stars above mocked him with their silence. He whispered to himself, his voice heavy with venom, "She will not defy me. No human will steal my bloodline. No child will be born that I do not own." His eyes narrowed, his voice rising. "If war is what they want, war they will have." Aboard the human ship, the princess pressed her hand against the window. staring into the endless dark of space. For the first time in her life, she had hope. But she knew hope always came with a price. Her father's fury was coming, and soon. The stars themselves would burn with his wrath, and deep in her heart, she wondered, would Eric's promise be strong enough to protect her, or would her father's fury tear everything apart? The alien princess awoke to the soft hum of the human ship. Her chamber was quiet, filled with strange lights and smooth metal walls. It was different from the cold stone halls of her father's palace. Here, the air felt calm, and no voices whispered cruel words behind her back, yet in her heart, doubt still lived. She sat by the window, looking out at the endless stars. Her hands rested on her lap, and her mind replayed the words of the human commander. "Eric, you are not useless." Not to me. Those words had struck her like a blade, sharp but warm. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not her father, not her people. They had only called her barren, cursed, broken. The door to her chamber slid open with a soft hiss. Eric stepped inside, carrying a tray of food. It was simple by alien standards: fruit, bread, and a steaming drink. But he placed it before her with care. "You should eat," he said, his voice calm. She looked at him carefully, searching for mockery in his tone, but found none. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Why do you treat me kindly? You know what I am." Eric's eyes softened. "You are a princess, a woman, someone who has been cast aside unfairly," he said. "That is what you are, not what they told you to believe." Her chest tightened, emotions rising like a tide. She lowered her gaze, but a small warmth spread inside her. Days passed aboard the human ship, slowly. The princess began to notice something strange. Her body felt different, her strength returning in ways she had not known before. For years she had been weak, pale, frail in the eyes of her people. But now, each morning, she felt more alive. Her skin glowed brighter, her steps grew steadier, her voice carried more weight. The human doctors were puzzled. They examined her carefully, running scans with their machines. One of them whispered to Eric, "Her health is improving fast, almost unnaturally fast. It is as if her body is responding to our environment." Eric listened in silence, his eyes drifting toward her. Could it be that humanity's presence was awakening something hidden within her? The princess herself began to notice even deeper changes. Dreams filled her sleep, dreams of warmth, of new life, of possibilities she thought lost forever. One night she awoke with tears on her cheeks, whispering to herself, Could I truly be more than what they said?" The soldiers on the ship treated her with respect, though carefully at first. They called her Lady instead of the king's gift. Some even smiled when she walked past. At first she avoided their eyes, but slowly she began to return those smiles. Shy but real, yet rumors spread quickly. Word reached alien spies that the infertile princess was changing. Whispers reached the throne that she no longer seemed broken. The king's advisors warned him, if she carries life, if she bears an heir with a human, it will bring shame to the bloodline. The king's fury grew, but he said nothing yet, choosing to watch. Meanwhile, aboard the ship, Eric spoke to her in the quiet of the evenings. He told her stories of Earth, of human families, of traditions, built not on power but on love. She listened with wide eyes, her heart aching with longing. Her people had taught her that love was weakness, that only heirs and strength mattered, but the humans, they lived differently. For the first time, she began to wonder if maybe she could belong. One evening, she stood before a mirror, touching her reflection. Her cheeks were no longer pale, her eyes no longer hollow. There was life in her face again, a beauty her people had tried to bury. Eric stepped behind her, his reflection joining hers. "You are changing," he said softly. She looked down, afraid. "If I change, my father will hate me even more." Eric shook his head. "No, if you change, your father will fear you." His words lingered in her chest. She remembered how the king had looked at her as if she was nothing. But now, with each passing day, she felt stronger. She was no longer a discarded gift. She was something else, something her father could not control. The ship moved closer to human space, preparing for a grand meeting between the two species. But within the alien empire, the king's anger grew. He began to plot, his voice a low growl. That human thinks he has stolen my daughter's fate. But if she carries an heir, I will take her back, and I will destroy them. The princess did not know of his words. She only knew that for the first time in her life, she was not broken. For the first time, she felt hope, and deep inside, a secret stirred a secret that could either unite two worlds or set them on fire. The great hall of the alien palace was filled with silence. Thousands of eyes watched as the king stood tall, his crown of steel shining under the firelight. His voice echoed with pride and bitterness. Take her, human. She is your gift. She is useless to me. She cannot give my empire an heir. At his side stood the alien princess, tall and graceful, her skin glowing faintly in the golden light. Her long hair flowed like a river of emerald, her eyes filled with sorrow and shame. The court looked at her with pity, some with disgust, for she was known as the infertile daughter, the one who could never continue the royal bloodline. The humans were shocked at the words, but they remained silent. Among them stood Commander Eric, a strong human warrior chosen to represent his people. He stepped forward, his boots striking the stone floor, his gaze steady. The princess lowered her head, unable to look at him. She expected rejection, maybe even cruelty, for that was all she had ever known. But Eric's voice was calm, firm, filled with quiet strength. I will take her, he said, not as a gift, but as my wife. Gasps filled the hall. The aliens whispered among themselves. To them, a human's words carried little weight, but the way he spoke made even the king frown. Eric turned to the princess, his eyes gentle. You are not useless. Not to me. Her heart skipped, confusion flickering in her chest. No one had ever said such words to her. Her father had called her a burden. The court had called her a curse. But this human, this stranger, spoke as if she still had value. She lifted her gaze slightly, studying him. His armor was scratched from battle, his face marked with scars, but his eyes were steady, warm, honest. The king growled, his voice heavy with anger. Take her then, if you wish to carry my shame, but do not think this makes you my equal. Eric bowed slightly but did not flinch. He took the princess's hand, gently, guiding her away from the throne. The aliens watched, some laughing, some whispering curses, others shaking their heads in disbelief. As they left the palace, the princess walked in silence. Her steps were light, but her heart felt heavy. She wanted to ask him why he spoke those words, why he defended her when no one else had. But her voice trembled too much to speak. Outside, under the alien night sky, stars burned like silver fire. Across the heavens, the air was cool, carrying the scent of strange flowers. The humans prepared their ship for departure, but Eric stopped beside her. He looked at her with calm eyes, his voice quiet. Do not listen to their words. Your worth is not measured by what they say you cannot do. Her lips parted slightly, her chest tightening with emotions she had buried for years. You do not understand, she whispered. I was born broken. I was born a failure to my people. Eric shook his head, his tone sharp but not unkind. No, you were born a daughter, a woman, a soul, not a tool, not a machine for heirs. Princess stared at him, stunned. Her people had never spoken like this. They measured life by strength, by power, by what one could give the empire. But this human spoke of life differently. It was as if he saw her heart instead of her flaws. That night aboard the human ship, she sat quietly in her chamber. Her reflection stared back at her from the polished metal wall for the first time. In years, she did not see only failure. She remembered the human's voice, steady and sure. You are not useless. Not to me. Her hands trembled as she touched her stomach, empty but alive. Could it be true? Could she be more than what they had told her? A tiny spark lit in her heart, a spark she thought had died long ago in the command chamber. Eric stood. With his officers, they whispered of the king's insult, of the danger hidden in this gift. But Eric only looked out the window at the stars. He knew the king's gift was no mistake. It was a test, a hidden threat. And he knew the Empire would not stay silent for long. Yet deep in his heart, Eric made a silent promise. He would protect her, no matter the cost. Not because she was a gift, not because she was a princess, but because she was his wife now, and because she deserved more than shame, even if it meant defying the Empire, even if it meant war. The princess lay awake in her chamber. The ship hummed softly as it moved through the void. Her thoughts returned again and again to the human's words. For the first time in her life, she began to believe. Maybe she was not broken. Maybe her story was only just beginning.